district meeting. Now I'll call it into order for these items, special district meeting, September 26, 2025. So in lieu of not having the flag, we will not do the Pledge of Allegiance. Open up to public input. If there's anyone that has any public input. No? Okay. Moving along. Everybody good by consensus with the agenda? Okay, so passes by unanimous consent. And then the old business, I'm gonna guess that's underneath that should be policy JECR.
Yeah, it's just listed as an
Yeah.
F, it should be an A.
Yeah.
A little A with an indent.
All right, so the policy, reason we're here today is because there was a someone who said, hey, could you look at your policy for this? So we're looking at it. Last month, we did pass the extra confirmation of residency with the, remind me, Kristen.
Yeah, you guys can see it. So one of the attachments is the actual policy in your booklet.
There's another tab.
Yeah,
Here, okay, cool.
yeah, it's all attached behind your agenda. So you can see in that number 4, you guys passed to accept a driver's license or US passport as one of the 2 ways that people can show, that can present proof of residence. And then at the September 2nd meeting, you guys expressed his desire to get a little more info and kind of parsing of item number 1, proof of purchase of a home or rent receipt. So I've also included, and it's all copied front to back, an email between myself and Andrea Hungerford concerning policy JECAR. And what you can see in that is that I asked her 6 follow-up questions from our board meeting, wanting to know, like, parsing out what proof of purchase really means, parsing out definition of a rent receipt and whether or not a rent agreement falls under the term receipt. We wanted to know, would it be legal to add a contingency on proof of purchase if there was a contract involved for intent to purchase a home, like in the case of a contingency purchase or a purchase pending, things are taking a while. And then what's the legality of accepting student during the purchase pending or conditional situation if the student has an interdistrict transfer with their current district of residence, and if it would be permissible by law to have a stipulation on a pending conditional home purchase situation if the purchase were to fall through during that whole process, that the student must then transfer back to their district of residence, and since the family would not be moving into the district. So then on September 6th, you can see Andrea Hungerford's communication back to me. So as we guessed, proof of purchase of a home includes a variety of documents, but the most typical, of course, is a completed sale agreement. Number 2, rent receipt was pretty much all encompassing. So you're looking for something signed and dated, a rental or lease agreement. And then, yes, what was it? A rent receipt also means a rent agreement. So again, you're looking for something signed with the landlord saying that, yes, these people are paying me to live on my property. For her answer for question 4 was yes, if the parent were able to present that they had evidence of a home purchase deal that was in progress and pending or conditional, we could have a document informing them in writing that we're admitting the student based on that representative that they are pursuing the purchase of a home. And then the board can decide, do you want that to be like a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day conditional agreement? And the board would want to include a statement that if at the end of whatever day limit you put on it. If the parents fail to produce that required documentation that the purchase is done, and there's no other sufficient evidence of residency, that the student would be withdrawn and dropped from enrollment so that they would be returning to their true district of residence, and so that we would not be stealing enrollment money from that district of residence. She needed a little bit of clarification about interdistrict transfers, so I just clarified, like, if the board decides to pursue like a, conditional agreement with parents who are in the process of purchasing a home, that we would need to have a, interdistrict transfer in place as well, because technically if the home deal is not through, their true district of residence is not ours. And Bonnie was very helpful in reminding me that the most frequent interdistrict transfers that we do at Dufur are like forever. Once we accept that interdistrict transfer, the student is ours until graduation. But we can do conditional interdistrict transfers that would match. So if the board, for example, decided, yeah, we would like to give these people a 90-day grace period while their home is pending, we can do a 90-day interdistrict transfer with their current district of residence. And Andrea replied after my clarification that would be fine. So that email's all there for your review. And then you will see it's not in color, but anytime I submit policies to OSBA for updates or adoption, it has to show track edits. So this is, if it was in color, would be red, because this is not something you guys have adopted, but I did draft language. I put a little asterisk after proof of purchase under item number 1, and then drafted, if the purchase of a home is pending or conditional, the district reserves the right to inform the parent in writing that it is admitting the student with a required inter-district transfer agreement in place based upon the representation that they are in the process of purchasing a home located within district boundaries, and that evidence of a completed purchase must be submitted within 90 days, or this says in should the parents fail to produce the required documentation, and if there is no other sufficient evidence of residency, the student will be withdrawn and dropped from enrollment.
I think that's basically what we talked about at the last meeting about, allowing that so the kids can, if they are indeed moving here, and if you're moving here, none of the other options are gonna work for quite a while. The voter registration, the driver's license, passport. When you move any place, it really takes a while to get those other documents, so. It just, I can see if you're moving here, and sometimes house sales don't go exactly like you anticipated them, and so it leaves you hanging, yeah.
Yeah, so I wrote out just this, it's basically the same thing that Kristen wrote out,
Oh.
but it's actually to put it in the policy. So it's under option 2. Option 1 is what we already have minus what we passed last month, because I was working off the old policy. So option 2 is provisional registration based on pending residency. For families with a pending move to the district, a student may provisionally register by presenting the following: a legally binding purchase agreement for a home within the district. So that means they're wanting to move here because we want to be inclusive of, like, hey, I'm thinking of bringing my family to Dufur. I know that the lady who just bought the Balch, her husband is staying in Phoenix, but they have aged children here. So I don't know exactly how the residency works. And I was thinking of them, like, how do we move our family and still find ourselves in a district that we're eventually going to get everybody here to? So legally binding purchase agreement for a home within the district and a release from the student's current resident or school district. So we don't want, at least from my perspective, I don't want someone to go, let's fish the market and get a pending agreement, but they don't have a release from their district that they're at.
Which this one
already.
says.
Yeah, so it's basically,
Yours is
she just
really
broke
good.
down.
Yeah,
So I don't know how we want to get it into, unless we want to put an asterisk, because this covers that, so it's basically the same thing.
mhm,
So those are the two things I want to see, interdistrict transfer plus pending home sale. Then I think the essential question is how long? In my mind, the saying you have 90 days, you get a student that over the summer is looking to come, and they're in 90 days, then they're out. You get someone in January, then they have 90 days, or if they get here they get a provisional in May, or let's say it's June 1 for some reason. I don't know why they would do that, but then that's carrying over to only 30 days in September, and it's like, oh, you're out. And they've already established their teacher, their routine, things like that. So this 30 days is 90 days. One of the things that I think would keep it clean, but you're more than welcome to have pushback on this, is for the current academic year. And so,
Yeah, so it
So we
wouldn't,
don't
like, if
have-
it was a summertime thing,
yeah,
the 90 days wouldn't start until the first day of school. Is that what
correct.
you're saying?
Yeah, so if it's current academic year, then they're established for a year. And then they know that it's coming up. Okay, we finished the academic year, you don't have it. You need to go back to your district. So that's what's thinking.
what, you want them to be able to finish the whole year they're here? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah,
Once
so if
they're
they
here.
started in September, let's say they started in May, they have 90 days, their last day would be September. So it'd be in August. So let's say they started in end of May. It'd be really close, that 90 days. So in the summer, or if they started in October, November, December. So there's 2 weeks that you're not in school, so then we're gonna kick them out in the middle of January. So
Well, normally when you have a purchase agreement, there's a date that purchase agreement has to be finished by. You have a closing date, period. And if you've missed that closing date, there has to be a reason why you haven't closed. And if you haven't, do you need a little bit extra time because of X, Y, Z that we understand? Or is it just because you're fishing and your house is never going to sell because you have it listed for $1 million. You're using this as an excuse to get in here. So I mean, it really comes down to, in a purchase agreement situation, what's your close date?
yeah,
If you hit your close date, great. If you
Mm.
don't hit your close date, you no longer have a legal document because it expired,
Yeah, it's done.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
yeah, I don't know how. that-
So it's not about us counting, it's about your document says you close October 3rd and it's October 30th and you're not closed, so sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, that's more the way I would look at it.
Mhm.
Yeah, even if it has a contingency on their sale,
Yeah.
there's still gonna be an expiry date, like, people aren't gonna wait forever for that contingency, so there's usually an expiration date for that.
There is, yeah.
I mean, and I guess maybe the question is, do we want our own, like, do we want to go with only that? Or do you, because, it's possible that somebody could be willing to wait a long time on the sale of their own home for a contingency. And so that would be the only thing, is if we have sort of a superseding date that it's like, okay, no more than 6 months or something like that, so that people can't just be like, well, they said if I sell my house in the next 2 years, they'll still sell their house to me. I mean, it's unlikely, but it could be written into a contract. So we do need to have some kind of, like, this school year kind of drop dead date from us that has nothing to do with their
Yeah.
documentation, I think would be a good backup. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And also a way to have it not loop school years, like Tim was talking about. Like, I don't like the idea of, like, this, like, oh, well, it goes 1 week into September, so we get the whole rest of the school year.
right.
That's not great. I don't know. That
I would
seems,
say that's not what we're
sneaky.
shooting for,
I mean, I understand the idea of letting them finish the school year because I don't like to be disruptive to kids' education. But there needs to be some kind of, yeah, I just feel like the more specific we can be, the better. And not have to, without having to, like, make a situation for every contingency, because that's not going to be possible. So if it's completed purchase within, like completed purchase by the date submitted. Yeah, I mean, I guess a completed purchase by the date submitted on the documents no longer than X. So let's say 6 months.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Because otherwise, I feel like, it's possible that somebody could just, if the people who are selling their house aren't in a hurry and they've some kind of, handshake agreement that they're willing to wait.
Right.
And
No, that makes sense. I mean, are people really that desperate to get their kids in here that they're gonna go to all these links that we're?
Well,
I mean, it's like.
$5,000 earnest money, like,
Is
oh, it's not bad. When they're.
I mean, in theory, students can pay tuition if we let them. We have done that in the past, at least once. Somebody's went through the process.
Where we're at with public comment, but it might be nice to open up to public comment if you guys want to hear from Bonnie and just details about how hairy it can get.
I'll open up to public comment. You got any insight?
I just, based on my experience, I would say that people are willing to provide not true information to try to get their kids in and to plead their case like, oh, it's gonna be 3 weeks and we're gonna close and it's gonna be this and that, and then never even buy a house. Like I think we have to be pretty black and white about what we'll take because they just try to work every angle.
Well, I think that's pretty clear. I mean, because if a sales contract is a legal document. And so when that expires, if you haven't closed it, unless there's a good reason, like your realtor calls and says, hey, they really are closing, but we ran into this. Then okay, we have a second, but yeah, when that document expires, if you haven't done what you said you're gonna do in that document, you're done. I mean, right?
Yeah,
I don't know, that,
no, that's when you lose your earnest money and everything,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Theory.
big investment.
You said you do agree, Ann? Did you
Yeah,
say?
I mean, yeah,
Oh.
like I said, I think that I think Bonnie's right that we need to see the document first of all.
Yeah.
And then like I said, I like my big concern is that sort of looping school years idea. So like they show us a document, like do we have like, there are situations of extensions. Do we want to put our own time limit that sort of would supersede any documentation? Like, like I said, if the document says, most houses are going to close 30 to 60 days. But like I said, contingencies on sales can go sometimes a little bit longer, but be interesting if we had a real estate agent in our group. But yeah, I just wonder if we also, I said, or no more than by the end of the current school year kind of deal. So like if you say you're moving into district and you're showing up in September with your contingent sales document, and that sale, maybe has a year, unlikely, but say it did, that for us it expires that spring, and then you have to resubmit. Does that make sense? So like instead of just letting it drag on forever, we cut it off every school year so that we don't have these sort of stragglers out there that are in the ether, kind of just in
I just
limbo.
don't see that happening really, because if you,
No.
I did used to be a real estate agent. So, I mean,
Okay.
an actual real estate agent is not gonna put their seller into that kind of agreement. That's a bogus agreement, and that does not serve your seller to say, oh, yes, we'll give them a year and a half to sell their house. That's really,
Mhm.
I would say that that's a red flag right there. If we got an agreement that looked like that, that's already a red flag, because no one's going to do that.
But that's what I'm saying is if somebody got somebody to do that,
Right,
and
well,
Bonnie was
so
talking about the
that's
link that we have a cutoff.
Yeah,
Like we create our own in or, this cutoff date, and then we can revisit, like I said, after the end of the school year, we give it another look-see. If you still haven't closed on that house, maybe it's never going to happen. And we wait for you to find real residents. But, you know, if you guys don't think we should do that, then we just go with their document. It's,
No, I'm thinking that giving them a year is too long, because that's not reasonable
Yeah.
for a homestead.
okay, or 90 days
That's
or whatever.
unreasonable already. You know, usually 90 days contingency is pretty generous.
Yeah, I
If
agree.
you're serious about selling your house, so,
Correct.
so yeah, I think a year is actually too much. So yeah, I'm with you. Like,
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, so by the the date on the document or no longer than 90 days or 60 days or whatever we decide.
something, I don't know what.
Yeah, no, sometimes, I mean, it takes just home inspection, that could be a month out.
Yeah.
And then an appraisal, that could be a month and a half out. So I think,
I think at the Columbia Gorge, the appraisal game is the wild, wild west.
yeah,
Holds up a lot of people.
yeah, no, it does. But I think 90 days is more than sufficient for sure. Unless it's a big ranch, and that's where you can get into 6
Well,
months after
we
you're hashing
can-
out mineral rights and water rights.
We're also, you know, smart enough to look at something and say, you know, if they come back and say, well, we're ready to close, however, we're waiting for this and this to come through. We've all been there,
Mhm.
you know, so it's like, well, yeah, that makes sense. So we'll keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then their documents would be adjusted accordingly too,
Yeah,
though.
documents can be adjusted because we do understand that. But if you're just flopping in the breeze and nothing's moving or nothing's happening, you know, they're not really serious.
You could throw in something about satisfactory progress in there.
Something, because that gives us something to say, yeah, you're not making any moves
Yeah,
forward. We're
prove
not
prove
buying
that this is serious.
Yeah,
it.
show us your earnest money, show us,
Mhm. Because I, you know,
So that
I
gets,
agree with that.
so that gets us right back to, are we good with the language that Kristen has presented?
The only thing I added in my notes was on the, ooh, that was a long sentence. So the very end of the first sentence where it says, and that evidence of a completed purchase must be submitted within 90 days. I added, or by the final day of the current school year, if the date of the final school year date falls sooner than the 90-day limit.
Yeah, so it truncates it to not carry over.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like the idea of keeping it clean year to year.
yeah.
By the final date of, and, if again, please.
Or by the final day of the current school year,
Okay.
if the last day of school falls sooner than the 90-day limit. That's the only addition I made to what I've typed, so if you see anything in there that's not represented by your conversation, let me know.
I think sounds fine to me, because if for some reason that fails within the 90 days of showing us we have a conditional agreement, it does leave it open for them to redo a deal, to restart that 90 days. The question is it gonna put more work on you to figure that out, or it's gonna be such a small amount of,
Why would
People-
they be able, how does that?
well, because according,
Do in
if the
90
purchase of a home is pending or conditional, the district reserves the right. So let's say they shop for another home and then they have another conditional, they're giving a document from the first home. I mean, it's not gonna happen very much, but the matter of the paperwork and,
I think we'll have a really good idea at that time if these people, whoever we're dealing with at the time, if they're playing games or if they're
Mhm.
actually, I mean, you're gonna
Wait,
know if,
or
yeah, this is a
something.
game, we're not doing that anymore, we're gonna
exhausting
know.
too many resources. It's time the board
Yeah.
not.
Or if we just go, oh man, they were almost ready to close and that house burned down, now we're, you know, I mean.
And I think that's where the district reserves the right
Then we go,
to
oh,
enter into
yeah,
this.
That's not a game,
So you would reserve, like, it's a special
could.
privilege, we'll work with you, but
Okay.
yeah,
But-
we don't have to.
exactly.
All right, is all discussion with that clear?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that does open up an avenue we don't have to, but allows them to get settled faster. Because there are people coming and going right now, a lot here, so.
Yeah, the only panic I had was the interdistrict transfer agreement. Because if we do so often have them like the forever ones, but Bonnie reminded me, we can do a 90-day interdistrict transfer.
Exactly.
So I don't, yeah. I know there's one family in particular that this policy is affecting right now. I don't know if they have an interdistrict transfer already. And if they do, it would need to be signed off by their district. Like,
Right.
we're
Or they
moving
can come
it
in.
we're moving it to a 90-day.
So this specific family we're talking about, what class do they need a space in?
First grade.
Man, I think what triggered the question was they were on a wait list, didn't get in. They're moving here. They have a child in the school district already, so it's.
But we've heard that, people are moving here before, so I think this policy is a good one.
I think
Do you,
I think you guys have made a lot of
okay with it?
good work on this policy and it's with number 4 and then
Right.
the condition for number 1.
Well, the two Victorian houses, no, the one sold. And I'm pretty sure they have children, our children over there.
The little
So-
one on the corner?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
the
they
other-
sold right before school started.
Oh,
yeah.
Before school started.
Yeah, that was, Brendan Johnson,
No, the Wendy, and they own the,
Schaefer.
the Schaefer's house.
Oh, the Schaefer's house.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
somebody
just
just
thought you were
moved.
talking where Bob lived. They moved to Hawaii, like just right below Stacy Bridge.
So that one just sold. So they were in the process probably just before school started. And I'm thinking of them like, hey, we've got it.
We're
We're
there.
Yeah,
moving
this
here.
is actually a school teacher in Hood River.
Yeah. So I think it does help. Families go, this school wants us here. There is an avenue. If we're moving in this weird situation, we can do that. So I guess we're looking for a motion from somebody that wants to move this along for the language that Kristen's put in here plus her additions.
Okay.
So Kristen, will you read it out loud one more time before we?
Yeah, so I've got with my additions, if the purchase of a home is pending or conditional, the district reserves the right to inform the parent in writing that it is admitting the student with a required interdistrict transfer agreement in place based upon the representation that they are in the process of purchasing a home located within district boundaries, and that by evidence of a completed purchase must be, and that evidence of a completed purchase must be submitted within 90 days or by the final day of the current school year if the last day of school falls sooner than the next day. Should parents fail to produce the required documentation, and if there's no other sufficient evidence of residency, the student will be withdrawn and dropped from enrollment.
You have a motion to consider that for adoption.
So
Yeah, you gotta move second.
No, second.
Jenna moves in second. All those in favor of passing the policy, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes unanimously. Okay, that's it for old business. I'm gonna call an executive session now under 192.662D